Welcome back to another episode of Tabs. We're talking about business strategy. And today I have a very special guest. It's my lovely wife, Ema Roloff. People don't know that's her full name. It's Ema Roloff, not Emma. And we are talking about TikTok for business. So Emma, why don't you get started? Just kind of tell people who you are and what you do.
Well, you already given away all of my secrets of who I am, but I am the director of sales for a business process consulting and software implementation company called Naviant. And the reason I'm going to be talking about TikTok is over the last couple of years, I have started a interview series as well as a live stream series on LinkedIn, and more recently, in probably the last year or so, have been getting my feet wet with the TikTok world, all talking about digital transformation and change management.
So for those who don't know, who might not be part of the Gen Z movement, although I realize TikTok's moved beyond that, maybe just kind of tell people what TikTok is and how it's different than something like Instagram or Facebook or some, Twitter, existing social media they might be using.
Yeah, so TikTok is a social media app that is predominantly driven through video and short form video. You mentioned the idea of it being a Gen Z application, but last year it was actually the highest downloaded app across the board. And there are now more older generations. So it's kind of that like Instagram, Facebook movement where it started with the kids and now all of us older folk are getting involved. But it is, demographic wise, there are people from all different walks of life that are on the application. And I would say how it's probably drastically different than other applications is it's a very kind of informal social media. So for people who were used to Facebook or Instagram, especially Instagram, it was this curated picture into someone's life or a curated picture into your business, and things, had an aesthetic. Whereas TikTok is much more of kind of like guerrilla marketing or guerrilla brand identity, or individuals kind of influencing through much more informal ways of communication. And because it's short form content, that's where you get like the TikTok dances and trends that are really famous, like 7-second sounds that people are making their content out of. But now they are starting to kind of push and reward original content and original creation. So we're starting to see kind of this path emerging that's going to be a strong opportunity that we're going to talk about more for B2B growth, because you're able to educate a lot more on the platform now that it's moved beyond that initial phase of kind of like trending videos.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. So it seems like business to consumer makes sense to be on TikTok because you can, showcase your products or showcase, live people doing things or using your products or services. But B2B, so what's the B2B case for it? And not only what's the B2B case for it, but what types of content specifically do you think resonates the most for a B2B audience?
So I think that there are a couple of different opportunities for people to start leveraging TikTok. One, and probably the biggest case, is, again, looking at all of these other social media platforms. Facebook started strictly for college students, and then it moved to everybody, and then it moved to the biggest platform available with all sorts of B2B and B2C advertising going on the platform. The same thing happened with Instagram and Twitter and everything else. There's this slow evolution that while it starts in our personal lives, it starts to bleed into the business world. And so we're kind of on that cusp of that starting to happen. And when you take a look at your ability to reach your target audience, your ability to advertise for free in some cases, if you're creating trending content or content that takes off, or your ability to advertise for a much lower cost point than on other applications, we're kind of in that like princess zone with the app right now before it starts becoming really expensive to really get organic reach. And so that's probably the biggest part, is getting in early on these social media platforms can be to your advantage, because you can start growing a following and growing your footprint and your space there before anybody else can.
Yep.
So that's number one. You asked the question of, what kind of content that could you be doing? That really comes down to the organization itself and what your goal is and what you're looking to do. There's a big movement on LinkedIn. And part of the reason that I started posting on LinkedIn as much as I did is this idea of thought leadership. Authentic thought leadership through TikTok is something that is a whole different level than even LinkedIn. People can be themselves on LinkedIn. You go to my profile, you'll know who I am. It's not hard. But part of the reason that people know me as well on my LinkedIn as they do is because I'm posting stuff from TikTok over and kind of cross-utilizing those channels. And because of the informal nature of it, you can break down your business and make your business human much easier on TikTok than you can on other platforms. And so that would be probably another spot where I would say, like, why it's important for you to start going in that direction is people want to work with people. And if you can make your business feel authentic and feel like a person, it's going to make you a more approachable brand and someone that people want to work with. From the content perspective of what you're posting on or how you post, that's kind of the beauty of the app too, is you can figure out what that looks like. You've got all the way from, it could be a 5-second video up to 3 minutes that you're recording native. And depending on, you can also upload up to 10-minute videos. So it's not as short form as people think it is. But what seems to do really well is figuring out what feels natural for you and creating that kind of content. So I'll stop there and let you
say. So what kind of content have you found to be most successful? As far as like, what's the template for the kind of content you found to be most successful?
What I have actually found a lot of success with recently on the app is kind of like acting out and characterizations of specific situations that we see on more of the consulting side of our practice. And so it's putting on a little bit of my acting hat and kind of pretending to be these different characters and having conversations that give people tools that they can use then in their business to help manage difficult conversations or specifically change management. When it comes to getting attention on a specific message on the LinkedIn platform, reposting some of those TikTok trends and some of those things that are a little bit more of like what the app is known for and cross-posting those things on LinkedIn, I've seen huge results with that as well. And being able to just kind of like shake up the status quo of what people are used to seeing, get their attention, and then get them to engage with your message. And so I would say those are the two areas that I've seen the most success with.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if someone's looking to get started, I think the biggest impediment for people to do something like TikTok or even native video on LinkedIn or YouTube, you name it, kind of thing, is just kind of that fear of being in video and putting your face out there and coming up with content. Right? Am I funny? Do I actually know what I'm talking about? Whatever that might be too. So what would you recommend if you're sitting down with someone saying, hey, you should really do this. Here's the game plan. Here's how you should get started. What are those steps or what are those tips you would give them to get started with something like TikTok or something like even YouTube Shorts or a similar type platform?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you can do is just start doing it. And I know everybody says that, but I am very comfortable on video now. And you can probably vouch for this. The first couple of videos that I made on LinkedIn, I felt so dreadfully awkward.
And
I was. And I was re-recording things to try and do them perfect and trying so hard to put exactly what I thought was the type of content that people wanted out there that I was overthinking things.
Yeah.
So the biggest advice is like start doing it and stop overthinking things, especially on a social media platform like TikTok or even what we're seeing across Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts or how kind of this movement towards authentic self on LinkedIn too. People don't expect you to be perfect. They don't expect every video to be a slam dunk. And you're going to put so much effort into something and have it flop and then put something else out 30 seconds later that took you a minute and a half, and that's going to be what took off. So don't overthink it or overcomplicate it. Just start doing it. And the more you do, the more your brain is going to be trained to start coming up with content ideas or think of new and unique ways to present your message. And then if you keep experimenting, then you're going to see what works and see what takes off. So I mentioned that idea of kind of like using characters and acting out scenes. It had been in the back of my head for like 2 months to make the video. And I kept deferring back to the trends and deferring back to what I was seeing other people do. And finally, I decided I'll make the video. What's the worst that's going to happen? 100 people see it, and that's that. And then it took off, and now it's got over 100,000 views, and I'm gaining traction on the platform, and it's spun off into a series of videos that I've been able to make. But had I not tried it out in the first place, I wouldn't have realized that that was content people wanted to engage with, and I would have never gotten to that point. So don't overthink it and just start going and see what feels natural and what fits for you and your brand, and move forward with what seems right.
Yeah, and even on that too, I think, those first couple of videos you make, or even the first 50 videos you make, not that many people are actually going to see them. Your reach is not going to be that good anyways. So as embarrassing as it might be, or as unpolished as you might be, just getting started really is the best advice, because no one's really going to watch them. Probably you might get a couple of your existing connections or reach to see them anyways, but by the time you actually start getting more polished and getting more comfortable with it, that's when your reach will kind of naturally start to organically grow and stuff too. So I think that's at least a comforting fact maybe for some people, is that
and the other side,
anyways.
The other side of this, I talk to our 6-year-old daughter about this all the time. You are harder on yourself, and you think about yourself a lot more than anybody else thinks about you. So you messing up a word or stumbling across something or doing something silly, no one else is going to remember that 20 minutes from then in comparison to the way that you'll ruminate on it. So recognize that everyone is watching your content as a consumer, not the creator, and they're not going to look at it and scrutinize it the same way that you would either.
Yeah, for sure. So where should people follow you? Where's kind of the next step, people to find you and follow you along on TikTok?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn at my name, Ema Roloff. And since you already gave my secret away of the fact that my full name is Ema Leah, my nickname from you, actually starting all the way back when we were sophomores in high school, was Princess, and that's kind of carried through.
I was much worse than it actually is.
Ema Leah, Princess Leia. Princess was my nickname. So my handle on TikTok is Transformation Princess, or if you search Ema Digital Transformation, it should bring you to my profile there as well. And I would be remiss not to give the plug to also check out Naviant's YouTube channel, which is where my over 100 interviews from the interview series, Digital Transformation Talks, are hosted as well. So you should check that out too.
I'll leave links in the show notes here too. So, well, Ema, thanks for joining today and sharing your knowledge on the lovely world of TikTok.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.